You know exactly what you should have done today. Not vaguely, specifically, you can see the list. You remember 8 a.m., when everything still felt possible. The coffee was warm, you were going to be different today. And then something happened. Or actually nothing happened. That's the part that's hard to explain to anyone. Not a disaster, not even a real reason, just nothing that would explain a whole day. Just a long, slow erosion of hours until it was dark outside and you were exactly where you started. Slightly more tired, holding a phone you don't remember picking up. And now it's quiet. And there's this specific kind of shame that doesn't announce itself, it just settles. Heavy. Familiar. You're not looking for a pep talk. You've heard enough of those. You're looking for something else, some acknowledgement that this is real, that this isn't just weakness, that something might actually be happening here that makes sense, even when it doesn't feel like it should. So let's start there. Let me give the lazy explanation its full credit first. Because you've probably thought it. It's the thing that comes back at night. Maybe I just don't want it badly enough. It's a clean explanation, efficient. It explains everything in 4 words and carries a kind of moral clarity. If you're not doing the thing, you must not really want it. The people who get things done must want them more, must be harder, built differently. That story feels true because it has the shape of truth. Simple, brutal, final. But here's what it gets wrong. Your brain doesn't assess tasks by how much you want them. It assesses them by something more primitive, by threat. Every time you approach something that matters, something attached to your sense of who you are or who you're trying to become, your brain runs a calculation you don't get to see. Not consciously, not in words, just a quiet, fast, deep-down assessment. What's the cost of trying? And if you've tried before and it didn't work, if you've written the first chapter and stopped, started the project and abandoned it, been in this exact place before and ended up back at 9 p.m. with nothing to show, the brain updates its model. Quietly, without asking you. The cost of trying becomes feeling that way again. There's a man I keep thinking about. Let me call him Marcus. He spent 8 months working on something he genuinely cared about. A business idea. A real one, thought through carefully. He told his wife. He told 2 friends. He built a prototype. And then the timing was wrong, or the market shifted, or the specific combination of factors that would have made it work just didn't align. He stopped. Not dramatically, no breakdown, he just quietly stopped. And then 6 months later, he had a new idea. Actually better, more specific, more grounded. And every time he sat down to start it, something happened. He'd check email instead, reorganize his desk, spend 45 minutes reading about project management apps, end up at 9 p.m. bewildered, a little ashamed. Nothing was wrong with him. His brain had learned something precise. Things Marcus pours himself into sometimes don't work out. And the pain of that isn't just disappointment, it's the specific pain of having believed, of having told people, of having been someone who was working on something. When it didn't work, he didn't just lose a project. He lost a version of himself that was moving forward. So when the new idea appeared, his brain didn't say, "Great, let's go." It said, "Are you sure? Because I remember what happened last time you were sure." This is what the psychologists call approach-avoidance conflict. 2 forces working simultaneously. Attraction to the goal and fear of what the attempt might cost. When those 2 forces are perfectly balanced, you get paralysis. Not laziness. Not lack of desire. The task feels threatening, not because it's hard, because it matters. There's a woman, I'll call her Priya. She spent years reading about discipline. Not passively, seriously. Notebooks, routines, 5 a.m. alarms for a while, then not. Cold showers, habit trackers. She understood the science. She could explain the compounding effect, the 2-minute rule, implementation intentions, identity-based habits. She told me once, "I have all the knowledge. I know what to do. I just cannot close the distance between knowing and doing." Here's what the discipline conversation gets wrong. It treats not starting as a logistical problem, as if what you need is better sequencing, better triggers, a cleaner environment. And motivation gets it wrong the other way. It treats not starting as an emotional problem, that a good enough feeling will solve it. Neither one is asking the right question. The right question is not how do I build discipline. It is not how do I find motivation. The right question is, what does your brain actually believe will happen if you try? Because behavior isn't really about what you know, it's about what you believe. And beliefs aren't updated by information, they're updated by experience. Which is why reading about discipline doesn't create it, and why feeling motivated in the morning doesn't translate to 4 p.m. when the feeling is gone. Priya knew everything about habits, but some part of her also knew, from evidence, from the specific history of her own life, that she was someone who started things and didn't finish them. Not because she'd decided that, because it had happened. Here's where it gets worse. The shame you feel at 9 p.m., that heavy, specific shame, it's not just a response to not starting. It is part of the mechanism that makes starting harder tomorrow. Shame tells the brain, this is dangerous territory. Shame says, last time I was here, something bad happened to how I felt about myself. And the brain, always learning, always updating, files that away, adds it to the cost calculation, makes the approach-avoidance conflict even more unequal. In other words, the way you respond to not starting, the judgment, the self-critique, the inventory of everything you failed to do, is precisely the thing that makes not starting more likely to happen again. The shame doesn't drive you forward. It builds the wall higher. I want to be honest about something. I don't have a solution, not a real one, not one that works cleanly. What I have is a reframe, and a reframe isn't a fix. It's more like rotating an object slightly so you can see what was always on the other side. The reframe is this: starting is not a decision, starting is a direction. When you think about starting, really starting, the kind that counts, you're probably imagining a moment. A specific click where something shifts and you cross from not doing to doing. And that moment feels very far away when you're in the shame spiral. But that's not actually how it works, not neurologically. What happens is, your brain takes one small step toward the thing, and then notices it didn't die, and takes another. And gradually the threat level drops, not because you convinced it, not because you motivated it, but because you gave it evidence. New evidence to update the model. This is what the research on behavioral activation shows. For many people, the motivation doesn't come before the action. It comes during or after. The feeling of wanting to do the thing arrives only once you've already started moving toward it. Which means the waiting for motivation, for the right moment, until you feel ready, might be waiting for something that only appears on the other side of the first small move. Here's my pathetic but true confession. The smallest possible thing actually works, and it is embarrassingly small. I have, on a bad day, bargained with myself to just open the document. Not write anything, not even read anything, just put it on the screen. I'd sit there looking at a blinking cursor thinking, this is the stupidest strategy I've ever heard. And then sometimes I'd write a sentence. And sometimes that sentence would lead to another. And sometimes I'd end up 2 hours in, having no memory of deciding to start. Not because I built discipline, not because I found motivation. Because I gave my brain a tiny piece of evidence that the thing wasn't as threatening as it felt from a distance. I'm not telling you this is a system. Some days the document opens and closes and nothing happens, and you're still at 9 p.m. with nothing done. What I'm telling you is, it's not character, it's not laziness. It's not that you don't want it badly enough. It's that your brain, like all brains, is doing the thing brains do, protecting you from pain it remembers, even pain that no longer applies. The conversation to have, the one that actually changes something, slowly, over time, isn't "why can't I just do this?" It's "what does starting small enough to feel safe look like today?" That's a different question. Different questions lead different places. That 9 p.m. feeling, the paralysis, the shame, another day that didn't go the way you planned, it doesn't have to mean what you've been telling yourself it means. You've been telling yourself it means something about who you are, about what you're capable of, about whether you deserve the thing you want. It might just mean something much simpler. It might mean you care, deeply, about something that's hard, and that the distance between who you are right now and who you're trying to become feels real. Because it is. That's not a character flaw. That's just what it feels like to be in the middle of something. Not laziness. Something closer to the opposite. Somewhere tonight, there are people sitting in the same quiet you're sitting in right now. Not the productive people, not the ones who figured it out. Just people who haven't given up, who are still here, still holding the question, still going to try again tomorrow, even though today didn't work. You probably won't hear about them. But they're there. And so are you.